We're live. We're live from the mountain, and I want you guys to let me know who's out here. And we're going to talk about systematic practice today, and this is going into our systems for improvisation 30-day challenge. This is BAP. This is a sad day. We lost Ahmad Jamal, one of the greatest. I got the news recently, and one of the greatest artists, man. Teachers, composers. I mean, it's a great, incredible loss for piano players, and I was fortunate to meet him. And one thing I heard him say, once that, being a jazz musician, so-called jazz musician, the label, really we're dealing with our spirit, and we're not entertainers, we're artists, and we're really dealing with our subconscious and communicating with ourselves first, and that really stuck with me, and you guys can watch, Ahmad, he left such a wealth of music with us, so, you know, rest in paradise, and thank you for the music. And we're going to get into systematic practice, you guys. This is our workshop tonight. We've been doing this series for the last 30 days. We're going into 30 days, and then the grand finale is going to be next week, next Monday. All right, so you guys that have logged in, just log in to the chat. And also tonight, these last 2 weeks, these last 2 sessions this evening are, hey Sam, hey Greg, Brendan, all right, thank you for logging in, you guys. Now tonight, you guys can use the Inner Circle group link, and tonight and next Monday, we're going to have the grand finale. But we're going to have our regular Inner Circle group with the Zoom, and you guys that are new, you guys just log into the chat. So after the session tonight, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back at 9 p.m. if you're still up. And that's going to be our private session where actually I can hear what you guys have been doing with the systems over the 30 days. And even if you're new, you're going to be welcomed into a warm, safe community. Everyone is there, so helpful, and we're all at different levels. This music is a cross country journey. Okay, it's a cross-country journey. And one thing that we need to talk about, that we want to talk about, I wanted to put in before we close this 30-day challenge, is how do we use this in our practice, systematic practice. And this goes across the board in practicing. So as you see, you guys come with me. Now let's get into this. You see, we have these our systems here, right? Now you say like, okay, this is like music theory, right? So you're gonna understand it how you're gonna understand it, because at the end of the day, we're gonna communicate with ourselves, like Ahmad Jamal says. We're gonna communicate with ourselves, and then hopefully we'll be able to communicate with others as an artist, okay? But the artist starts with communicating with ourselves, and to access music, this vast wealth of music, all right? So improvisation, right, which is our spirit, right? So now, you know the systems, right? You guys should know the systems by now. The chromatic is like the creator. The 2 whole tone are like the opposites, right? Those are the opposites, right? And we talked about those. Now, the chromatic, is these 12 notes, and they have no beginning or ending. The whole tone scales, you can start anywhere. You can use the whole tone system, and we have modules on those, but we're gonna deep dive into all of these. You guys should be deep diving in these. The whole tone system, like their system. So you take what you know, and you got to move it through these different patterns. What are you moving it through? You're moving it through whole steps and half steps. If you're doing the chromatic system, it's half steps. So like if say you pick a chord, like your C major chord, right? Now, to know how to build a chord, you got the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh. Excuse my piano's out of tune, but it'll be in tune soon. And root, third, fifth, and seventh. Now we can go take that to the chromatic system, and you just take one thing in the challenge and say, I've learned this, right? Now, say I'm going to take that same chord and I'm going to keep going up in half steps. That's the chromatic. That's what we're talking about, okay? Now, like I said, you guys start with what you know and use what you know, but you want to take everything through these systems when you're practicing, right? And so that's the chromatic, right? Now, and the two whole, if I was to take that same chord now, I'm going to take that same chord and I move it in whole steps. It's only going to be 6 whole steps. Okay? And there's only 2 whole steps. So if I was to go up a half step in the chromatic, right? Now I do the other set of whole steps and I'm doing the whole tone system. Right? Right, so you guys have. I hope you guys are having fun with that, and that's what the systems are. So we went over all this. You guys can watch all the replays, and we're going into these right now. We talked about the Trinity of Diminished. Now that's a combination of half steps and whole steps, right, which leads us into these 4 groups. It leads us into these 4 groups. You got to go 1, 2, 3 before we can go to 4, right? So the Trinity of Diminished, and we talk about even that on our hand, right, with the palm oracle, right? This is not the middle finger. This is middle C I'm giving you. And if you go from C and you go, this will be, of course, this is going to be E flat. So this is C, A, and this is G flat on your hand. So if you forget it, you say, where are the 3 diminished scales? They're 1, 2, 3. Across. They go across, right? All right. Okay. Now, so this is so important in music as a creator, as a composer, as you get into your spirit, right? And we're going to talk about how to do it tonight. All right. But these are the laws. These are, nobody invented this. The creator invented this. That one, right? Okay, that gave us music in our lives, right, and our cosmic chords, right? And so that is our systems, right? So when we talk about this, we talk about it as, we like to use Adam and Eve just to get you guys started. But like I said, it doesn't matter. When we talk about the Trinity of Diminished, we use Adam and Eve and a baby. Just so you understand, you take any one of these structures from anywhere. That's a half step, whole step structure, right? Now I do it off of E, and I do it off of B. Those are the 3 diminished scales. And if you notice that, they're separated between a 4th and 5th. Or you could say perfect fifths, right? Or 4ths and 5ths, right? So now, that substitutes for the chromatic, right? Because you could take the same structure and go down a half step. If the structure is half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. Okay? Now that leads us into the 4 groups. Now, just to understand now, like I said, these 3 diminished chords, right? They're 3 scales and chords. But this is part of the systems. because these particular connectors, right, which is another code name for the diminished, is it connects to the four groups. So you can say it connects to E, it's going to connect to D flat, B flat, G, right? And it's also connected to the other four groups, right? So they have different relationships depending on where you are. If we're talking about, the minors, right? It has that relationship. So I just say E minor, right? Remember these four groups, right? E flat, E minor. I can say E minor right now, okay? Because they're going to change, okay? But we went over this lesson, and you guys can watch the replay. But these are the systems. This is the point is that before you talk about, we're going to learn all of our scales and all the 12 major. We'll know how they're related. They're related to the Trinity, and they're related to the two whole tones, and they're related to the chromatic. You say, oh, they're related to the whole tones. Well, yes, because they're related. When especially if you use a dominance, right? That one whole tone scale can work off a C dominant. And wherever that's going to lead you, and B flat 7 dominant. That same whole tone scale, it works off A flat dominant and G flat dominant, E7, it works over a series. It works over a series of 6, okay, because there's 2 of those. And so the chromatic works over all 12, right? Of course, right? So now you say that the Trinity of Diminished is going to work over these 4 groups. So when you're learning your major and minor families, learn them in these 4 groups, and we talked about this, right? Right. So you have you say E minor, and there's many different types of E minors, right? But just say E minor, right? Then you got D flat minor, which is part of that group, and B flat minor, and G minor. Right, so that's that first group, right? That first diminished group. So when you learn your scales, with majors and minors, you learn them in these 4 groups, right? And then we talked about the pentatonics last week. We did a brief introduction into the pentatonics, and which is going to open up a whole nother system. And it's going to, you need to practice those too. And so, but it's like, how do we practice this? Now, I gave you all the tools. Now, you guys, the downloads are there. And we're going to have a new download next week. And that's going to encompass everything, okay, when I get back to the city, okay? Now, you guys, I hope you guys have any questions so far on just what the systems are. That's it. That's all, that's it. Now, how do we practice this? This is what I want to really, it's really important that we talk about, practicing these systems. And how do we get into this, right? Now, practice is something that musicians, we all got to do. Now, if it's a chore, maybe you shouldn't be a musician, because it's like you're going to have to practice. But they make practice in school like a chore, which is fucked up, like you ever seen a kid, like a baby, play, and he just goes to the piano and just starts playing whatever, and then someone says, hey, no, this is C major, put your thumb on C, and don't bang on the piano, and da-da-da. But he been banging on the piano, right? But when he goes to take piano lessons, they say, don't bang on the piano, put your thumb on middle C. Right there, you're killing the creative side of music. So it's not it's not our fault because it's the educational system. So it's important to understand that, like I always tell you guys, start with what you know and take it through these systems and be like a baby. All right, be like a baby. Be like a child as you're understanding this. Okay, as you're understanding, and you take, and systematic as you practice this. That's your attitude. Have an attitude where you're good to yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on your attitude. Also, your attitude about why you want to be a musician, why you want to do it, right? So it's not a chore. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It shouldn't be that. You know what I'm saying? And so what is your attitude? What you want to do? Now, some of us, we've taken on as in the industry. That's a whole nother topic, you guys. It's a whole nother topic. And you have to put that hat on. Sometimes we have to put our business hat on in this music, because this music particularly has been bastardized. We talk about it, but we'll talk about that in history classes and stuff. But you need to be aware of the history of what you being a part of this so-called jazz world, which is not really jazz world, but you're talking about being a musician of the spirit. Now, if you look at the history of the universe and the history of the world, you're not alone. Okay, you're not the first. Okay, so let's get into these ancient topics and how to understand it in a modern way as musicians, so that we want to access this, right? So when we talk about practice, right, it's not a terrible thing. It should be something that we just put in our lives, and something we do. And on the metaphysics level, when we talk about, you're always practicing. We're always practicing these things, like your attitude. Like, what's your attitude about this music? You just want to take some? You want to be famous and all that? Well, maybe music might give you some of this, but you're not going to be playing. And you're not going to be accessing any of this. But, you might make some money or something out of music or whatever. But real talk, your attitude is going to open up the keys to the wonders of music, and to be like, be amongst the gods, like the Ahmad Jamals. And he told you this. So we have to communicate with ourselves first, and then hopefully we can communicate with others. Because we're not entertainers. You want to get entertained, you go to the circus. We're artists on the very highest level. You dig? And so your attitude is very important. What do you think about jazz? What's your attitude about jazz? What's your attitude about this music? What's your attitude about the United Institute? What we're doing? What's your attitude about? Because our attitude is aligning with the masters, and our attitude is aligning with the music of the spirit, and that's why we're teaching this stuff for free. And you guys can join us for free and join our community. Okay. So what is your attitude? It's not like we're making money, man. It's like you're not gonna make money at this music. That's another hat. So we're talking about your attitude and practice, okay? So, very important. Be good to yourself. Be good to ourselves when we're learning this. Even if you never heard of the chromatic scale, I'm showing you as a system. So I said, just if you want to create a melody, one of my friends, who's one of my great piano player friends, known him for a long time. He's like, I don't think about any scales. I don't think about any of this stuff. I don't think, don't think about any of this. Just find a melody and go with it. Right. But you got to have something like a palette to choose from. You dig? So now, with this challenge, I want you guys to understand that when we get to this level of practice, we're dealing with the subconscious mind. It's like, okay, yeah, when we get to the subconscious mind, you might just want to grab a melody, and that's the highest level of practice, you see. But you got to get there, okay? So the challenge is to, to learn these palettes, So, like, pick a melody. Make a melody yourself, You could take one of these tools or a palette, right? And you could do what you want with it and create from there. right? Create from there and get your ideas. You see, because when you're practicing, you could just take one little thing, and you can even and you can get to your subconscious mind, which is what we want to talk about tonight. Okay, so I want to thank you guys, for hanging with us in this 30-day challenge, and I'll get to hear you guys hopefully tonight and next week. And like I said, we're going to continue with this, but this is really, really important because when you're practicing, it's real personal. So make it personal, so have a great attitude about it, you dig what I'm saying? And then we're going to talk about our regimen. Okay, a regimen, like what are you going to do? So I've given you 5 topics, the 5 systems of improvisation over these 30 days. Now, you can't gobble them all up at once. Forget about it. You can't even gobble one of them up at once, You need to take maybe one a day. We got 5 days. So I'm going to just deal with, and then you might take one topic over these 5 days. So I'm going to take this chord, right, that we talked about, right, this C major chord, and I'm going to master it in the chromatic system. And then I'm going to master it in the whole tone system, in those 2 whole tone series. So I know them, and I'm pretty much familiar with them, right? Now, I'm just saying, I would probably just do one for the first, as long as till I get it, till I get to my subconscious mind. We're going to talk about these 3 stages in a minute, but, what is your attitude to it? So, your regimen is going to be how you're going to break up maybe these 5 systems for improvisation. And you could take just one a day. Say, I'm just going to deal with chromatic shit today. I'm just going to deal with whole tone shit tomorrow. I'm going to try to tackle one thing of the Trinity of Dimensions, because each one of these are pretty vast. And say, okay, now I'm going to learn these 4, I'm going to just learn one of these 4 groups, majors and minors, and I'm going to mess with those and how they're connected to the Trinity. And then I'm going to deal with some pentatonics and the 5 elements. You take one day, that's 5 days of stuff, and then you keep going around, and that could be a regimen. All right, that could be a regimen. Now you got to make your own regimen, and it's great if you can zone in on certain things, and we're going to talk about what to zone in on. Okay, because a lot of cats practice, and you want to make your practice fun. And, learning, they've studied, kids learn from playing. You don't learn from school. They study, they like if you start correcting kids, like I gave you the story about the baby. It's a terrible fucking tragedy, man. Because it's like in the educational system, our system is set up to kind of like, okay, you get shit wrong, you take a test, get shit wrong, now you get a grade, now you get shit wrong, now you get this, and now you're supposed to be an expert in this shit. And then you can get a job in this and that. The whole thing is set up so that it kills really learning. Because once you stop playing, they take the playing aspect of it. That's why I always love teaching kindergarten. Because I bring a lot of, it's great because their energy, and you learn, and you guys, stay young. That's why I said you got to stay young as you're learning the systems, okay? That's why I said have fun with this when you're practicing. There's no freaking wrong notes, okay? There's no wrong notes when you practice, guys. You'll never innovate. If you start correcting yourself, you say, oh man, fucking Chick Corea did this shit. Now you're copying that cat. And you're never gonna it's great, it's great. I mean, I copy cats for years and years. Okay, and we're going to talk about transcribing and putting it into place. But if you can't understand transcribing, I talked about taking this stuff, making it your own. This is the way. This is part of the way. And when you're lost, you always go back to the ancestors. You're always going to go back to the Herbies, the Chicks, of course, the Thelonious Monk, the 2 pillars, really. I go back to Monk and Bud. You go there because then you can find Chick and Herbie where they stand, And you can go back and find Art Tatum and Duke Ellington, all those guys. Monk and Bud are the two pillars of modern jazz piano. Okay, you guys, for you guys that, and then Ahmad Jamal, man, he fits in there and he's incredible. All right, now what I'm saying is that we take all these things and we want to stand on the shoulders and create our own spirit. So when you're practicing, man, you're communicating with yourself. You're really communicating with yourself, okay? Now, the modes of practice, that's what we're talking about. We want to get past our conscious mind to our subconscious mind, okay? And there's ways to do it. There's ways to do it. If you listen, I'm giving you ways. Start with what you already freaking know, and then take one of these systems and do it till you make some music. I'm saying do it until you can make some music. Do it. You might want to. I'm not testing you on this system. Like it's a 30-day challenge. Like that's not important. Important is you know how to practice in these systems. Know they exist. And then when you're really trying to access this stuff, you want to do something until you don't have to think about it anymore. And like my dear friend was telling us, if you just pick a melody, when you get to that point, you can just go from there. And there's no wrong notes. You're back to being a baby, right? But now you know you're master of music. All right? So now our attitude, our regimen, all of this stuff's going to feed our subconscious mind. Because all of that is conscious. Like you have to be conscious, like, okay, well, I'm going to practice this system today. I'm going to practice this line. Dealing with something specific, but then now I'm open because I want to get that to my subconscious mind. Okay, so I'm going to give you some real slick keys to get to it. Okay, now before we get into attitude, and your goals, you have, like we talked about, where do you want to get? So say I want to learn. I know that I don't know all my minor scales. I don't know them, okay? I don't know how to play in all these major and minor scales. I can't play in these keys, right? So now you say, okay, well, I know that. I want to learn that, right? So now my destination, now a map, I gave you one key. We'll say, okay, we'll learn them in the 4 groups that they exist in, right? So if I want to learn like G minor, I'm going to learn B flat minor. And I'm going to learn D flat minor. And I'm going to learn these. I'm going to learn these. And I put that in my regimen, right? And I'm going to practice these. And just stay right there and practice those, right? Until you know them. So you don't have to think about them, and you get them to your subconscious mind. And when you practice, and you'll know when you feel it. You're going to know that feeling, and that's where you want to stay. You see? So it's great to limit yourself so that you know where you're going. It's like, okay, well, shit, I want to drive to Colorado, right? And they look at the map, and you say, okay, well, that's Colorado. Well, I want to get there fast, right? Well, I'm not going to freaking drive all over. That's why you have a map. You see what I mean? So you have to have a map when you practice to get to these destinations in a straight line, the fastest way you can. You see, and to see these obstacles on the way in our plane. You see, because, if I'm just going for a drive and I say, I just want to end up in Colorado, I could get lost. You see what I mean? And, we talk about getting properly lost. You want to get properly lost in music. That's why I said, you know your point of departure, you know where our destination, and you just stick with that strict destination, but then you allow yourself the freedom of getting to your subconscious mind. You see what I mean? And then you're really gonna access this stuff, and then one day you can just, you don't need GPS. You just go anywhere the freak you want. You beam yourself anywhere you want in the universe, because now you've accessed all of the systems for improvisation. You dig? So it's important to do this, right? So what do you want to achieve, right? We talk about our achievements, right? So that's one example right there. Now, we talked about so much in the last couple of weeks in this challenge. So, you have to find out about what are some of the goals you want to achieve. Now, you got to have short term. Like I said, a short term goal will be like, okay, I want to learn all of these 4 major groups. That could be a long term goal. That could be actually a long term goal. You say, I want to learn how to play in one of these. It depends on what's short and long term for you, right? Okay, so I'm just saying, just make it. So I'm going to show you an example. Like I would say that would be a long term goal, really. As a real artist, you really want to dig deep, get to your subconscious mind, because each one of these, like I said, you just can't just mess around with these. Say, oh, I learned the system of improvisation. Now I know you know nothing about applying it to make some great music. So I would say, okay, I'm gonna learn just say these four minor groups, right? And I'm gonna make that a long-term goal. Like I'm gonna give myself maybe a month, couple of months. That might be short-term to some of you, but that might be long-term. Now I'm gonna break it down and say I want to learn one, and that's gonna be my short-term. One of them. I say just G minor. So I might pick tunes that are in G minor that I want to learn. Learn how to. You're gonna just start filling yourself with tunes, but just to use this as a tool, right? Say I want to be able to improvise, not just learn the freaking scale, right? So you could just take one of these guys, right? Say the key of G minor, right? And open that up as a short-term goal. And then you could even break it down. You know, there's just so many ways to look at it, right? Okay? So I'm just giving you examples how to set up your goals, right? You guys, with the systems, okay? So where are you right now? You need to take an honest assessment of where you are right now, right? Because I go back to this. And I say, oh, I need to brush up on this pentatonics in this particular area, or I need to go back and brush up on, these how these four groups are related in this way to the Trinity, this particular diminished, or work it through, or work all of them. There's so much I might need to work on my time, or work on learning new tunes. We're not even talking about learning tunes, which we're going to talk about. We talk about that more so in the inner circle group. We give you guys specific and songs, and I can hear you guys what you guys are working on. Okay, so any questions on any of this so far before we're gonna take a 2-minute break, and then we're gonna come right back at this seminar right here, and we're gonna talk about this some more. But any questions, I'm looking at the chat, and don't worry, when we go to Zoom later, I'll be able to hear you guys, and I can hear what you guys been doing with the systems. All right. And hopefully give you some pointers if you got any questions, okay? Now that link is it's underneath here, and you guys can join us in our community, okay? But just to know, when you're practicing this stuff, it's good to know, where you want to be, long-term and short-term, and have your map, and I'm giving you the map. I'm giving you actually a great map right now with the Systems for Improvisation, okay? Now, what I want to talk about is this is a vast topic into systematic practice, but I think your routine, all of this stuff, we talk about that in the inner circle, and I want you to just get the concept of it, because I want you to use this in this 30-day challenge. We went over all of the systems for improvisation in a basic overview way, all right? But, you might want to pick your own type of warm-up. Like I said, if you warm up, you say, okay, my long-term, my short-term goal is to learn just freaking G, right? And how tunes in G. Like I might learn like, you know, milestones, or I'm gonna learn appointment in Ghana. I'm gonna learn, you know, any freaking thing. I don't care what the hell it is, you know. But you say you want to get to songs, right? But you want to be able to play in that system, right? So I say I'm gonna just zone in on this one thing, and so my warm up might be I'm gonna learn that freaking scale and all the variations, right? So you got G minor, right? You got G minor. You know, you got so many. You know. So if I was just taking like say just that pentatonic, G minor pentatonic. So you can just practice one thing for like a week, man, and then by the end of the week, you done mastered that, you know, G minor. And you could just, you know, you can go. I'm not here to practice, you know, you guys. But I'm just showing you, you know, what you want to get to, you know, because I can't get to my subconscious mind when I'm teaching you guys. You guys, it would scare you probably. You have to come to my shows. You know, come to one of my shows. Come to one of our shows, you know, and you really get to see the artists, you know, in their subconscious mind. But you want to get there when you practice, you guys. You want to get there, and there's steps to get there. You see? So, you know, that's the goal. That's the goal, to get to our subconscious mind. And this is the meat of the matter, is your modes of practice. You know, we've been analyzing all month, and you understand now the systems. Now you gotta focus. You gotta focus. You know, you can say focus on one thing, focus on a couple of things, and then we want to submit. Meaning that you want to submit. You don't want to think about this shit no more. What you just learned. Like you're gonna analyze, understand all this stuff, and then you're just gonna forget everything. That's what you want to do. You want to forget everything. And I'm gonna give you a key thing is when you're analyzing. You know, there's no time. You know, we're free. Okay, we're free. You know, we're free. So we want to start. You know, you want to start with something so you understand it, and then you want to focus on it. And when I say focus, you know, put a little time on it, or focus on something specific that you want to, you know, either be something simple, you know, but you want to submit, all right? You want to get to the point of submission where you're not thinking anymore. You don't think anymore at all. Nada. You just in the moment. It's so important to practice being in the moment, you guys. When you're learning the systems for improvisation and you're practicing out, like I said, this is vast, and so I just want you guys to just take one thing, and it's preferably when it's something you like, right? If it's something you don't really dig, then it's you know, it's hard to get into submission. But if you really take something you want to improve, like say it's a song you wrote and you want to add something to it, or you know, you want to improvise on it, you could take one of these things and just take that little particular thing, and you want to get to submission. Now some cats just go right there. You know, some cats you want to just get to where you want to get there right there. You know, and that's what Ahmad Jamal was talking about when you're communicating with yourself. You almost become like a person where you're watching yourself play. And then it'll go out and other people will attract. You see what I mean? Because you know, you're putting out energy. You see what I mean? And just because you're by yourself doesn't mean that you're not playing for nature, and you're playing for yourself. So you want to communicate with yourself. So don't be hard on yourself as you go through these. these steps to practice. You see, because you want to, you want to play. You see, so like when you're analyzing, we're free. Like, I'm free to do what the hell I want to do. I don't have any time or anything behind me. I just want to understand. I just want to understand a song I'm learning and what it is, and I'm learning it. Now, once I know it, I can focus. I put some little bit of time behind me, And when I get to really playing, I'm submitting. And then you could just go, and you want to just go from there. You dig what I'm saying? But those are the steps to practice, you guys. So very important, when you're analyzing, you're going through this. Now, I just want to show you this one last thing, which might help us, with our conscious mind and subconscious mind. Now, this is the latest thing, and you can get this as our download. But I just want to thank you guys and understand the most important thing is be good to yourself when you practice. Like I said, if it's a chore, then you got to change your attitude. Okay, change your attitude, because music's a gift. Music's a gift, and it'll take care of you. And it's a very great gift when you can get to the point of submission. And it's like the secrets of music. And if you can share it with others, that's great. But if you can experience it first yourself, like if you don't enjoy yourself playing, and you get to the point of submission, then it's like, who's going to come hear your concert? Who's going to come hear you playing? If you don't enjoy yourself, and don't be scared to knock yourself out. You see, a lot of me says, don't be humble or not. Be the baddest cat, and be the greatest if you practice to yourself first. Okay? And then hopefully with others around us that can hear. Okay? But that's my advice to you guys as you go through this systematic practice tonight. And I hope this helps, with all of the other tools that we have. Now, we're not done with this 30-day challenge. This is the last week. Next week will be, it's going to be a grand finale. Now, these last 2 weeks, like tonight, you guys, we're not done tonight. No, we're not done tonight. So if you guys could join me, we're going to take a break. And probably I'm going to open the door at 8:45. At 8:45, you're still up, okay? And you guys could join us on Zoom, okay? So even if you see the replay, some of you guys don't come at 7, say, 8:45, they're going to be on a private Zoom link. Now, how do I get into the private practice room? Now, the private practice room, that's where we're really going to share some secrets. And we really, you get to meet your peers in the inner circle group and join our community. It's a great community. And it's free, okay, you guys? So you just got to follow the link. The link is there, and you click it, and you just put your email address, and if you opt in, then you get all of the bonuses, and you're going to get it's going to take you right to the practice room, okay? So it's like 2 links, one, boom, and then you're right in the practice room with us. We're going to open that up at 9 o'clock. I'm going to open the door at 8:45 for you guys. You guys can welcome each other. And I hope to see Brendan, Sam, Greg, all you guys, Eli, and our whole community, Lee, and all of our great teaching artists. You get to meet some of our teaching artists, okay? And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon, all right? So that's it. That's it. This is basically, now next week we're going to be here again Monday at the same time for the grand finale, and then we're going to have the private session too. So you guys don't want to miss next week, because that's when we're going to be giving away prizes, okay? Don't worry, man. You guys, okay? So I hope you guys get the link, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes, all right? Music and love. And I'll see you at 9.